Conversations from the Cave is a raw self-help podcast dedicated to discussing men's issues. From pornography to parenting, from religion to real life, from learning to loving. We discuss the real issues that affect real men every day. Join us each week for powerful, revealing Conversations from the Cave. Now your host, Kirk Kennedy.
This is Conversations from the Cave. I am your host, Kirk Kennedy. Welcome to another exciting and rousing round of Conversations from the Cave. Each week we try to tackle a topic that's important to men, and it's either an issue or a challenge that men face on a regular basis. We open it up for dialogue to our members of our fine panel. To my right, we have Mustang. Mustang, can you check in with us, please?
Hey, guys, I'm excited to be here. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm glad I could still make it.
Awesome, awesome. And to my left, Nola, can you chime in for us, sir?
This is Nola73. Meet you where you at.
Well, gentlemen, we are blessed to make it through another week and to continue making progress step by step. So this week, I thought I would take a moment and talk about dealing with setbacks. And I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why. There have been floods in our nation, particularly in Texas. But as of last week, on Friday, I had a flood in my office. So on top of, I got a chance to really empathize with the folks there in Texas because I had my own 2 inches of water, standing water in my exam room and clinic which gave me an opportunity to kind of sing that song "Wade in the Water" because it was really, really deep for a little while there. My hope is that whenever you get challenges, finding a way to remain positive, finding a way to navigate through it, and finding a way to really come away with whatever is the most important lesson of the experience, but to really recognize what you value most. So when dealing with these things, I know that, Mustang, you're a little under the weather, so you're dealing with a little bit of a setback because you use your voice to make a living. And, Nola, you've had some setbacks, which you've talked about on, previous shows. So today I just want to talk about setbacks and how to have a positive attitude through a challenge. So, gentlemen, I'll start to my right with Mustang. Can you share a challenge? Maybe you want to talk about what you're dealing with your voice right now or something else, and then talk about how you're working your way through it and perhaps some positive coping mechanisms to get you where you need to be.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty much when I get like this, which has only happened, I want to say twice now, this being the second time in the past year or two, I just do anything and everything related to my business, but not related to speaking. So whether that's demo production, whether that's marketing, website design or website redesign or tweaking things or updating things, branding, all those different types of things, especially the things that we kind of put off like, I'll
get around to
desktop
it
later. Yeah. I'll organize I just got done re-updating. I did the NBA 2K, spot. So I had to go and update. That was one of my recent clients. I took off some of my older clients and refreshed my page, put on some newer clients, updated the videos page, put on some newer client videos. I did one for Royal Cup, the coffee company. So I updated that. So, but I don't have to talk to do those things. So, and I'm not going to get any jobs if I do talk. So,
right. Right.
But yeah, just everything other than that.
I like that you recognize the importance of time utilization. So when you have those moments where you can't make forward progress in ways that you'd like to, you still continue to put effort into moving forward in those ways that perhaps you can make progress with. And I think that keeps you positive as well, because you still see progress. You still see that things can be done and you can invest. It's similar to something that I do. A lot of times the boring part of what I do is the administrative part, scanning those records in and doing, chart reviews and what have you. those are the things that are just not so exciting. Those are the things that fall to the round to it, designation. I'll get around to it. But I think that making progress one step at a time, regardless of whether or not it's in the direct action of what your business is another way of remaining positive and not becoming discouraged. If you can't do patient care, you can do some charting. If you can't do charting, well, perhaps you can do some, as Mustang did, website revamping, or work on whatever is necessary in the interim. Nola, you've talked about some setbacks from time to time. How do you deal with them?
Well, with me, one of the things that I tend to do is to continue to push forward. I never let it get me down. It does set me back. It does, because we all have an agenda and we have a logic in our mind that we see how things is going to go. However, that logic that we put in our mind is not based upon somebody else's knowledge or logic as well. So you tend to exclude that, or you have a preconceived notion of how things is going to be laid out. And so when you get that setback, or when I receive that setback, I said, okay, that's something that I just didn't see.
Right.
And not everybody's going to have complete foresight on how things is going to go. It's just, your logic of how you see it. And although you see it that way, it can be that way. You just have to continue to push forward. It may not be with the individual that you're destined to, you set your goal in mind on to be with, or to make this deal or lock this deal down with. It may come by somebody else by way of, you never thought you was going to ever do business with that person because they are small, they are, and you was looking for this bigger contract. And so I just continue to push forward, and learn from that lesson, However, I still make the same mistake, because when I do submit bids to companies and things of that nature, I'm still going there with a preconceived notion. Yeah, this is mine because, we had a great luncheon, or, the conversation that we talked about was really good. And then they come back and like, yeah, we're not going to go with you. We're going to go with somebody else. Like, wow, what happened? And so when you get these unanswered statements from the person that you wanted to do this business with, it's kind of crushing, because you're like, dang, I did everything that, the book said, or I went and did everything that people told me to do. And I try to do everything the right way. I follow all of the guidelines and the procedures, and I laid out this perfect plan for them. And they, just like you laid out the perfect plan, somebody else laid out a perfect plan, but they just probably had a better communicative relationship than you did, or they just had a better proposal than you did, or the numbers was crunched a little bit different. So, those are the things that you learn in doing business or negotiations. And those setbacks come with one or two things. It's going to come with experience, or it's going to come with failure. And, hopefully every time you go through it or you hit it, you're getting experience in your failure. And your failure builds you. Your failure actually creates the resume to continue to, that you can look back and say, dang, I lost this one, and this one, but I got this one. But what did I do different from this one to that one? And then from this, and what is different from this one to the next one, until you got that yes, because everything is a stepping stone. And I tend to relate my business negotiation skills to the same way I talk to a woman. I'm going to get told no by several women, because they don't like what they see. I like what I see, but they don't like what they see, or they don't like what they heard, or they don't like my presentation, or they don't like my makeup. And so one of them going to say, yeah, that one that says, yeah, what did I do? Maybe I just said something, hello, ma'am, how you doing? How was your day? And I was sincere and just really wanting to know how her day was, versus just trying to holler at a person. And that's the same process in relationships with business. You have to have a tact on how and in which way you go by doing business, how you talk to them, what's the process and the procedure method that you took to get to the CEO, and how did you go by getting to the CEO? How was you with the receptionist? Was you kind? Was you courteous? Was you considerate? Was you thoughtful? All of those things play a big part, because I remember talking to a young lady, and I was on an interview, and she got a phone call, and she was just, her whole personality changed because the person on the other end was just not polite. And so she took a sheet of paper, went into the room and said, how you doing, Mr. J? This person right here wanted me to hurry up and get his resume to you. However, I don't think you should hire him. And I heard that and I was like, oh, wow. And so he messed up her whole day. And I felt like I had to rectify it, because now when I had the opportunity to speak to her and say, hey, how you doing, Mr. Johnson? Mr. Ray is ready to see you. But listen, don't, and now I have to talk to her to try to pull that energy, that negative energy away from her. But in me doing that, it opened up the door for me with Mr. Ray, because I changed her attitude. And so sometimes in dealing with companies and dealing with people and whatever journey or path you're on, communication is always going to be the key to success. Even if you fail, communication is always going to be the key. You just have to have a great sense of humor and know what, most of your clients is going to talk about. If you're dealing with someone dealing in voice, 90% of them going to have something dealing with voice. They're going to, you need to know your target audience. You need to know different people that worked in that industry. And that's another key thing, knowing the industry that you're trying to get work from. Mm-hmm. And that goes a long way.
Yeah, you've made several good points. I think the first one is having empathy for people and cultivating positive relationships. I think that's really a pivotal point, that a lot of times when we don't get the answer that we want from a particular situation, it's easy to want to burn or, move away from that situation, when it may in fact be an opportunity for you to learn something. You also talked about setbacks in terms of being more prepared. I think it's really interesting that I think it was my dad who said pauses are for preparation. A lot of times when you don't get the answer that you want for something, whether it be that job or it's that person that you want to have in your life or whatever it is, there are these pauses that happen. And sometimes those pauses are for the preparation so that you can be successful in the opportunity that opens. So many times when you have a door close, it may be simply an interim or a temporary thing. It may not be a permanent thing. And I think knowing the difference, I think it was also important that you talked about preparation and communication. I think people do judge our, they give us opportunities based upon their assumption of our preparedness to receive that opportunity. And I think it's very, very important to be able to communicate, which you used, communication is key. Being able to communicate that you are prepared and ready to assume a certain responsibility. I think that it's really a very critical factor in terms of opportunities opening, and opportunities favor the prepared. So if you happen to work on your skill, whether that be your skill of communication, whether that be your skill of marketing, whatever that skill set is that needs to be worked on, you can't wait till the day you need it to cultivate that skill. And I think that's another thing. When you do have a setback, it should reveal to you moments where you can actually cultivate a new skill, whether that be the skill of persistence or the skill of revamping your presentation or whatever put in the X factor, whatever that needs to be. I think the other thing is, I liked how you pointed out that you didn't allow it to discourage you. You allowed it to become a learning experience. And I think people who are more, people who have a better sense of self tend to respond to setbacks in a more positive way. In other words, they don't just let it crush them. They look at it as, what do I need to do to move forward to get the goal that I need to get? And they start to retool their approach, or they retool their methodologies, or they, whatever is necessary. So I think it's those points that you bring out are very, very, very good points. And it's good to see that you have a positive mental outlook when approaching, your setbacks. Mustang, I wanted to ask, how important do you feel, preparation is to avoiding setbacks? In other words, some people have more setbacks than others, and you wonder why some people, it seems like everything falls in their lap, and then you have others where it's stumbling block after stumbling block after stumbling block. What do you think the difference is in those folks?
Oh man, that's a hard one. You're asking